under the pale moonlight. Vinny and Phil bring the shadows to life. Tales of the ghostly whispers in the night. Bigfoot and aliens ready for the strife. The darkness thickens, the air is cold. Haunting stories waiting to unfold. Supernatural Sundays, the veil is thin. Join us in the chaos, let the night begin. With every whisper and each chilling tale, dare to believe where shadows prevail. EVPs echo through the haunted trees. Demons lurk as the chill hits with ease. But the caps rolling with guests to amaze. Cryptids and spirits were lost in the haze. Northmen in the foliage, watch your back. Dogmen prowling, ready to attack. Supernatural Sundays, the veil is thin. Join us in the chaos, let the night begin. With every whisper and each chilling tale, dare to believe where shadows prevail. Moving in the foliage, watch your back. Dark prowling, ready to attack. Supernatural Sundays, the veil is thin. Join us in the chaos, let the night begin. With every whisper and each chilling tale, dare to believe where shadows prevail. So tune in next week, fear in your soul. Darkness awaits, let the stories unfold.
Welcome to Supernatural Sundays, June 28th. We're almost into July. Come on, it's been a pretty crazy month. Had all kind of UFO action, paranormal, a lot of different cryptic creatures going on, different events. We Kentucky right now, we're having some bad flooding over there around Richmond area. I think we had a dam burst up toward Shepherdsville area. I think we've lost 4 people, so we're going to pray for their souls. Those folks that are getting out of their homes. There's some people right now stranded. I think we got 7 inches of rain in one day, so over here in Bowling Green, it wasn't too bad. We had a little bit of standing water, but it was all gone by the next day. So, um, prayers to everybody out there. So, before we get into July, next week's 4th of July, everybody be careful out there with those fireworks. Don't buy fireworks from a guy named Stubby or a guy named G Nubbins if he's missing some fingers. Probably not a good guy to buy fireworks from. If you are out there messing with those things, be careful. Just long fuses, light them and run. I've had some of those go off on the ground before, so just be careful out there. I usually just like to go see the public fireworks, so don't have to worry about losing fingers. So anyway, we're getting ready to go into July. Got a few things this week. Got some USO type activity. Got a little paranormal. Got some Bigfoot encounters for this week. We don't have a guest this week. We did have one last week, and pretty exciting. They're going to have some different paranormal events they're putting on. And let's get into what we got this week. Got two new dolls this week. Got a big one and a little one. Not sure the names. Every week I try some new dolls to see if there's any kind of attachment, because people think dolls have attachments, haunted objects. So she's got a tag. I can see this with my trifocals. Oh, her name's Laurel. Well, hello there, Laurel. The big tall one there, she doesn't have a name. She's just sporting her red flowery summer ensemble, getting ready for the heat coming in. Be careful out there. We're getting into some over 100-degree heat index with the humidity. We're in the high 90s with the humidity. So do your garden watering and stuff of an evening. Make sure your pet's got plenty of water out there. But I got a K2 here, which is picking up any kind of EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. I got a couple cat balls. There we go. Cat balls. It's a cat toy. It's set off by vibration. The cats bat them around. So if they go off and there's no cats around hitting them, then it's kind of a low budget paranormal tool. So we'll see if anything. You guys see anything, send me a comment, or if you want to call in, we do have our call-in number there scrolling across the bottom of the screen. If anybody wants to be on the show live, we are live tonight. We will accept callers and comments if anybody wants to chime in on anything. Some different equipment that we use. Something I've been messing with this for about 2 years now. Everybody was like, get one of those full spectrum cameras. It records everything in full spectrum light. So I got one, and I've been taking these full spectrum cameras pictures with this camera for 2 years, and I can tell all the hundreds and hundreds of photos I've taken. I've not caught anything on this. We've had stuff that we've captured with cell phone cameras. Also 35 millimeter cameras, some of our camcorders. We use the 4K Ultra. We got some. I usually turn it down to 180 dB because none of my monitors, TVs, computers can play 4K. So we usually stick with the 180. But if anybody's had any luck with these full spectrum cameras, let me know if there's maybe something I need to do different. It does work. It doesn't have night vision, but if you have an IR light, it works just like an IR camera. It's picking up full spectrum. So I attach an IR light to it in total darkness, and it takes pictures just fine. Everything comes out kind of purple. So with that said, let me know if you guys had any kind of luck. But let's get into it this week. We got a few different videos. This one, I've got two different videos on this thing. They're calling it a mermaid, and it's got like looks like webbing on its hands. I don't know if this is a lady doing TikTok videos or what's going on. It's pretty interesting. But again, it looks like it has gills. Crazy. Elaborate prosthetic costume, or it's a mermaid. Here we go. This is her swimming around with her web. Do it. Not bad. Not bad at all. And then I don't know if you guys ever heard stories of these. The divers are most afraid to go down around the dams and locks and different things on big freshwater river systems. They're always talking about catfish as big as Volkswagens. That's what this guy's talking about here. And there's a restaurant, I believe, has pictures. I'm thinking road trip. Might have to go down there and check this out.
Everybody talking about the Volkswagen sized catfish. That's a myth. There's a picture of them at the Pickwick Inn on Pickwick Lake. There's literally stories of welders who went down and sat on one thinking it was a log to take a break, underwater welders, and it came out from up underneath them. They surfaced and said they were never going back down there again. Those catfish do exist. If you go up close to the dams, and some of them you're in 80, 90, 100 foot of water, that's where them catfish lie at. Volkswagens, they're big as Volkswagens. You know, and people say, you know, well, why have we never seen one? Because they're down 100 foot. They're 100 foot down. It's another reason why I don't really care to swim in the Tennessee River, because I know there's catfish the size of a small SUV down there. If y'all don't believe me, y'all think this is a myth because every dam in the United States has the same story, go to the Pickwick Inn, go look at the photo they took when they were building Pickwick Dam back in the 30s, and go look at the catfish that they pulled up beside a Volkswagen.
There you go, Pickwick Inn, Pickwick Dam. I've seen some of those postcards at different tourist locations. You'll have like a giant trout on a boat trailer, the furry fish and all that. Might just be before we even had AI, just clever Photoshop stuff going on. The largest catfish in the world are caught over in Vietnam, the Mekong catfish. Some of those get up around 600 pounds. And then I'd say the second biggest size catfish that we found in the world would be the Wels catfish in Europe. Those get up over a couple hundred pounds. And then the United States, probably between 100 and 120 has been the biggest that somebody knows of a bigger one, let me know. But I think that's like the state or the United States record, and the state records are up over 100. Like I think the biggest one's blue cat. There's some really big flatheads too. So if anybody has any more information on that, or there was a girl last year caught one jug fishing up by Cincinnati, and then for a while they didn't want to give her the title because she caught it on a jug, and I'm like, well, you should have different categories. Have one for jugs, live lines, that kind of category, trout line, then have rod and reel. They should probably have different categories for, maybe even if you caught it commercially, if it's a biggest one ever caught, I think they should still get some kind of recognition for that. Not the same as reeling it in with 12-pound line, but still, the Volkswagen size catfish. There's another category of UFOs where I grew up in the 70s, 80s. We called them UFOs. Now they're calling them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. We always call them unidentified flying objects. My friends from over in Japan, if you guys are watching, my buddy Shinji, he called them UFOs. We'd always go out at night fishing. People from Japan, he was just amazed because the lights, so many lights there, it's bright. So he was amazed he could see all the stars and satellites going over every time a satellite or airplane, he would be like, UFO, UFO. Now they're calling them UAP. So there's another category, the USO, the USO, underwater or unidentified or underwater submerged object. So there's stuff running around underwater that people are seeing or experiencing out in the ocean, the boats, submarines, acoustical engineers, sonar, people listening to sonar. So let's check this out. The USO, come on
the USS Hampton, which is a Los Angeles class nuclear submarine, and we did operations for a while. And the operations took us in near coastlines where we gathered intelligence. So one time we had to go out and meet a tender way out in the middle of nowhere so no one could easily find us. And we were on their way out there. We were running deep, running fast, and this really loud racket went right by the boat. And I mean, the senior master chief came out of sonar and he said, "Sir, it's a fast walker. It's moving faster than the speed of sound in incompressible water, hundreds of meters below the surface." And that was my first experience ever of an unidentified submerged object. And I looked around. Nobody would look in my eye. They wouldn't speak while I was in the room. So I said, "Sir, I'm going to go back to my little cubicle." And he says, "Fine." And I left. And nobody said anything to me about not saying it. So here I am telling it. I heard an unidentified submerged object with my own ears and felt the impact on the nuclear submarine as it went by. So then later on, after my field
He
stuff,
called it a fast walker?
fast walker. That's what they called it. That was their term. Then nobody explained it to me, but it's pretty clear. This thing, water is incompressible. That means it won't mash. You can't mash it in any way. And it was moving so fast without turbulence, which is called cavitation underwater.
Right.
It was, to me, it was a physics miracle. I understood immediately that nothing I knew about on Earth could ever do it. I knew it was not us. Instantly knew. Okay, so then in 2008, I was on the Blue Ridge. I was doing a technical classified intelligence operation, so I can't talk about that. But we went through the Sea of Japan in the middle of a typhoon, and the typhoon was crazy, and I was loving it while everybody was sick to their stomach. And I was up on the bridge with the captain's permission, and we were doing like this in about 40 or 50 foot seas, 90 knot winds, and I noticed just all of a sudden the rain stopped. We were not in the eye, we were in the wall, and the rain stopped. I says, "How does the rain stop in the eye wall of a typhoon?" So I went forward, looked out the window, and about 100 meters above the ship, I could see glowing lights that I had no idea what it was. I couldn't make out the structure. I could just see the glowing lights, but it was blocking the rain from the entire 450-foot-long vessel. Whatever this was huge. So I turned around and says, "Do you guys have anything on radar?" I went, "No, nothing." I says, "Well, you might want to come look at this." They started walking over, and I looked up. As I looked up, the lights got really bright and boom, straight up, because it had twirling air going up. You could see the vortices from the air going up.
That's crazy. There's not too much takes off in a hurricane. I mean, they have those hurricane, storm chaser airplanes that, fly up, really high, like 35, 40,000 feet, and they bust through the eye wall and all that. But I don't know any kind of aircraft that takes off from underwater and like hovers and stops the rain and takes off straight into a hurricane. That's technology that we don't know about. If it's ours, or from other dimension, other world technology. I don't know of anything that we have like that. I think even jet airplanes typically don't try to fly, take off in the eye wall of a hurricane. Those storm planes are way up high. It's crazy. I'm going to call this one a skinny alien. It's very skinny. I have to roll that again. It was like a bunch of kids with their cell phone cameras out trying to track that thing. None of them were freaking out. None of them were screaming. Makes me wonder if it's AI. They're awful calm to be encountering a 15, 20 foot tall, skinny, like Gumby looking alien creature thing. Check that. Because you know that's about an 8-foot fence it's standing in front of. Let's check that out again. One more time. That went awful quick. It's definitely taller than the fence, but it's kind of hard. You know, once it turns, it kind of goes to the left. A little hard to see what that thing is. It had kind of a bulbous head and a real slender body. I don't know. One more time. Know about that. The kids are awful calm. They're going toward it. They're getting closer and closer. I was like, that was a real alien. Maybe kids are wired different now. But when I was a kid, I might have thrown down the camera and ran like hell. You know, call my dad, get the gun. What is that thing out there? I don't know. And it wasn't shaky or blurry. You know, like a real Bigfoot photo is usually blurry. That's how you know it's a real encounter. They're shaking so bad from adrenaline. This was something I was kind of curious about. They're talking about the different pyramids on Earth activating. I'm not sure if this all came through or not, but if not all the dialogue comes out, I'll try to explain it best I can. Okay, that was a little disappointing. Sorry for the letdown. I'm getting some weird stuff. What's going on? That's weird. Are one of you doubles doing that? Messing with my yeah, everything seems fine. It's weird. Anyway, I was reading this article where all the pyramids on Earth like activated, like the ones in Egypt and Mexico, and they even mentioned like the Cahokia Mountains in Illinois, which are just like a big pile of dirt where they kind of a Mesopotamian kind of thing where they've been digging it up for years, finding mass grave, different structures like little where the little shelters they lived in, pottery and all kind of stuff. But there for a long time, I think it was East St. Louis. They were using this. They were digging off this mound for using it for fill dirt for buildings and stuff. So the mound's not as big as it used to be. That before they realized what was going on, the scientists come in and go, "Whoa, stop, time out, quit digging up the Indian mound." And it was always there, for like thousands of years. Here comes, settlers like, we need some dirt for this building. So they just start digging away. And then I've seen some pictures where there's like, there were other mounds too. And there was just like a little pile of dirt left. They got done. Like they didn't realize what they were doing. They weren't trying to desecrate anything. They were just needing some fill dirt. There's a pretty good pile right there. So anyway, so all the pyramids supposedly activated, they're giving off a frequency. The same frequency. So, you guys want to Google that or look it up. There's a lot of stories I get every week, try to share them with you, but some of it could just be, AI or somebody's making up some stuff. This one is some EVP capture. So, for those who aren't familiar, EVP is electronic voice phenomenon. So you'll have your phone, your recorder, whatever, and you're in a paranormal location, and you're trying to communicate or see what's there. or the spirit or whatever may be around it. So you'll ask questions like, "Hey, who are you? What year is it? What's your name?" All this kind of stuff. And a lot of times you won't hear anything until you play it back, and then there'll be a voice or a noise on the recorder when you play it back. So this goes all the way back to reel cassette recorders. Now we're using digital. Some people think the old tape does a better job. I don't know. I've got some of the old tape stuff. I've even got some old Polaroid cameras we're going to try out. I've seen some guys capture some really cool stuff with the Polaroids. We're going to try some of those this year. But for the EVP, you'll ask a question, wait about 15 seconds for them to respond before you ask another question. You can actually interrupt them. There's 3 different classifications of EVPs. There's Class A, which is very clear, very loud. We understand what they're saying. Class B, you can still understand the words, but it's more of a whisper. Class C is you get a response, but it's unintelligible. It's just gibberish. And then not to be confused with a disembodied voice. So a disembodied voice is something you can hear with your own ears, and that'll almost always shows up on a recorder. If you're just getting into paranormal, don't expect to go out and get EVPs every time you go out. It was probably a year and a half, 2 years before I got my first one. It was actually intelligible, where I could understand what it was saying. If it was a Class B, it was kind of a whisper, but had something tell me hello. And so I was really excited because I've been going around doing recordings for a couple of years and not getting anything. And I'm like, well, that's not how it is on TV. They get stuff talking to them every episode. Well, it's like, it's TV, and not to discount any of the TV guys, they may have been filming there for a while. They may have been there for a week or 2 weeks. I have more respect for the teams that go out and come out and say, "Look, we didn't get anything." To me, that's more how it really is. We spend a lot of boring nights sitting in a location just waiting for something to happen, and then you spend hours and hours of review time going through videos, the audio, looking for any kind of evidence. And so I was pretty excited when I got my first one. So let's check this out. This is a video I got with the EVP. So sometimes those are kind of hard to understand because that was, I would consider that a Class B. It was kind of whisper. I'm going to play that again. Listen real careful. You have to turn your volume up. And I'm so glad they put some captions on there to help us understand what they think it's saying. Sometimes I think the captions don't match up what it's saying. Most of the time it does. But let's go through this one more time. It's you just got to kind of listen. It's almost metallic sounding, but that's probably the way the speaker is playing it back from the recorder. That was picked up on some home security camera, and nobody was home. And so it's like, okay, who's talking? They didn't leave the TV on or anything, so pretty interesting. This is another one. They're calling this a doggy cam. So a lot of times people have security cameras in their house, whatever. They might call it the baby cam, nanny cam, doggy cam, because they're just using it to check in on their pets, make sure they're not getting into something, or the pet's okay, that kind of thing. So this one was something the doggy cam caught. I don't know if you saw it. There was a little light that I went by, and the dogs turned around and looked. Some people call those orbs. I don't get too excited unless it's self-illuminating with no light, no infrared light big enough. Most of them, I think, are dust, bugs, insects. I've tried out some different security cameras, and I end up having to change all the settings because every time a bug goes by, it says motion detected. Like it's a bug. You know, I want it to pick up other stuff, not just bugs. But let's roll that one more time. The dog reacts to whatever the anomaly, and then the camera moves. So when those cameras move like that, they're detected motion. Now, whether the dog set it off, I mean, it was already watching the dog, but I don't know if the dog set it off and it moved or something else that detected some other kind of motion. But there at the end, if you watch, there's some kind of, the camera's moving, it's picking something up. I don't know if you noticed. Usually, when it's dust, it'll stay illuminated for a while, and then you might see it pick up, some air movement from an air duct or fan. It'll move, whatever. That one just kind of disappeared. So, not sure what's going on there. It's pretty interesting. This was a encounter ladies having in a hotel. There's a lot of people come in and out of hotels, and with the amount of people that go traveling, might be under stress. Things happen. Sometimes people pass away in a hotel. If it's been there a long time, the odds are increased. Somebody having an event there, or possibly even departing from this earth there. So. There's a lot of hotels in this country that they claim to be haunted. So, don't mean you're going to have an encounter when you go there, but you just might.
Hey, tap it if you want me to turn the light off. Ooh. Okay, I'm turning it off. All right. That thing is moving over there. If that's you over there moving the curtain rod, tap it. Oh my gosh.
Without being there in the room, I can't say that whatever she's recording that with could be setting it off. Could be her phone. Always try to stay far away from your equipment with your cell phone. Random cell phone signals can come through. Set that stuff off. Radios, two-way radios. Try to run your phone airplane mode if you can when you're investigating. The curtain moving could be a heating and air unit underneath. They usually put them under the window because they got to have outside air bring in for the wall unit. So it could be the heat, air kicking on, blowing the curtain, or not. But that's just my theory on that one. Got two different. I think these are people getting scratch videos. I'm just going to go ahead and roll it because I've got two videos with the same title. So that's my mistake when I was labeling them. So I messed up. So we're going to see a fibbly mistake here.
How old are you? What's your favorite game to play? Do you have a nickname?
What happened?
I don't know.
What was that?
Did you guys hear that?
Yes.
That was crazy.
Seen some equipment go off. I don't know what made the huge crash. That was definitely not the scratch video. So, yeah. I don't know if they were going for a jump scare or what, but must have been. I mean, it seemed pretty loud. Whatever it was that scared them. I've seen a red pug go off, and the guy comes running up. Hey, sometimes that's what happens if you're in a location. We've been in places where we had a rock hit the road. Like inside, we're inside this old house. Rock flying in. And I'm like, all right, who's throwing rocks? And they're like, what? I'm like, who's throwing rocks? They come running in like this guy. They were in the other end of the house. There's no way. We're on second story. There's no windows left in the house, but there's like an old mansion. They're like 8-foot tall windows. So somebody would have to be way outside of the ground, go through the trees and get a perfect arc through that window for it to come down where it did. But we've had 2 or 3 different instances at that same location of rocks get tossed inside the house. And I was like, okay, there's got to be some kids. Somebody's out there. You know, we're out with infrared. We're out there with thermal night. You know, night vision, looking at nobody out there. Like, well, maybe they're out there, you know, wearing ghillie suits, dark hoodies, or something. You know, we can't see them. Nothing on thermal. Never pick anybody up. And I was like, I was still thinking, okay, somebody's messing around. And I had a lady on my team, Cindy, she got a rock, like a small rock, hit her on her neck and back of her head, rolled down her back, and she was up against the wall. So we're like, okay, how'd that happen? She was in a corner in a room with her back against the wall, same location. And you know, there's plaster falling down and stuff like that. But when these rocks come in, you can tell it's a rock. It's not a piece of plastic. And it's like, this doesn't belong. Where did it come from? You know, so we unfortunately don't go back to that location, not because of the paranormal activity, but because of the decline of the building. It's so bad with the roof. The roof's pretty well gone and everything's rotten, caving in. It's just not safe to go there anymore. So, you know, sometimes stuff just Mother Nature takes it back, and it gets to a point where it's not safe for me or my team to go in there. That we don't go. This might be the one where they got scratched.
Okay. Hello. So I was down in the cave, and back in that area near the grave that's higher up, I was sitting down there. Ron's phone said my name, Evelyn. Then, sorry, I can't remember his name, the staff worker, said, could you go up there and touch Evelyn? The moment he said that, I felt something like claw grip my back. Not a touch or a push, just a claw grip. And, you know, I freaked out a little. I went down. Dustin was behind me the entire time, saw nothing near me.
I was up in the actual hole itself. And I could see their backs perfectly fine and nothing. Then suddenly she jumps up and panics because something touched her.
And
I was right behind her. I literally checked her arm and nothing was there. Followed her back. Saw she didn't touch her arm at all. Once we got to the other entrance of the cave, it formed.
And the entire time it felt like a burning sensation, like when you burn yourself on a candle. It felt like that on this entire area, and it still feels like that.
I've heard a lot of people say that it burns really bad whenever you get scratched. Yeah. My mom had scratches one time. She woke up in the house with them, and she was talking about that it burned all day long. Strange thing is we have a new tour guide here named Evelyn as well. So I'm wondering if it was actually talking about her.
Maybe. But the moment the other tour guide said, can someone go touch Evelyn? Literally within the second, I felt, it wasn't like a couple seconds after, it was the second he said it. The second he said it, I got grabbed and I immediately jumped up.
Oh my gosh. That's
and
crazy.
it hurt. Like, it wasn't like a gentle, it was like painful and then just burning.
Oh wow. That's great. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem.
Shout out to Bell Witch Cave in Adams, Tennessee, for sharing that. That was another paranormal team that was in there doing an investigation. You can go in the cave, and I think you can go in the old farmhouse. There's some out, some of the land you can go out on, I believe. But they all look pretty legit, shooken up from that. And I've heard that before. When you get scratched like that, it burns for a while. So, shout out to Bell Witch. That's one of our bucket list places we want to try to get to this year. Can. And I follow them on TikTok, so shout out to them. I just wanted to share that. If you've ever been scratched or anything, we'd love to hear from you. Got our call-in number there scrolling. Anybody wants to comment, we are live tonight. We're taking callers for anybody calling in. We love it when we get a call. Doesn't look like Lauren here's doing anything. Lauren, you doing anything? You got anything to say tonight? And your friend over there, I'm not sure her name, but she's got some pretty nice boots there. Little flowery ensemble. I don't know if you girls want to say anything. You can touch those devices and make those little lights go off on those other devices. That'd be great. To see if they have any kind of attachments. If they don't, I will try to rehome them to a new owner. I've been testing out a lot of different dolls, so any other dolls that don't show any activity, I try to send them on to new owners. Now that I don't believe there's any attachments. If I think there's an attachment, I've got one so far that's set off my cat balls a couple times, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with her. She wants to stay here with me, or somebody decides they're interested in her, we'll talk about it. Let's see. I'm sure you guys, this is kind of like the catfish story, biggest Volkswagen. I'm sure you guys have all heard stories of the black, people seeing black panthers, big black cats in the United States. It's one of those things where the scientists are like, oh, that can't happen. They just don't exist here. And it's like, well, what if it got loose from the zoo? What if somebody brought them over here on a boat back in the day? They had a few breeding pairs that got dumped out in the wild, or what if it's a mutation from a mountain lion or whatever? And scientists are like, well, we don't believe that exists. Well, somebody's going to have to bring one in, and then they can do DNA testing. So anyway, check this out. This looks like a pretty good sized black cat to me. Yeah, so he was just chilling in the backwoods. The cat just come run along there, broad daylight. That did not look like a house cat to me. It looked pretty big. I've been into supernatural, paranormal stuff for a long time. I remember I had a book I got back in I think junior high school back in the early '80s, and it was in Central Illinois, up in the Sangamon River bottoms. I was reading about an account of a big black cat, and several different people had seen it on different occasions. And it was in this book. The stories all about cryptids, different things, unusual things that happened in Illinois. And so, if you've had a black cat encounter, you got videos of one, tracks, you got one in your area, you must come out and check it out. We've got thermal now. We've got IR. We've got trail cams. We can set out there. Our last expedition, we picked up a squirrel, a family of deer, and some birds. There's something. I'm going to share this with you. It's crazy. My guest last week I shared it with her. This picture, this was caught on her trail cam. This was out in the middle of the night. When this thing was set out there for a month. I don't know what this is. It doesn't, to me, look like a flashlight or anything. If somebody was out there, as far as she knows, nobody's been out there on her property. This is up by Bee Springs, Kentucky. But if anybody has more experience with trail cams, can tell me like, oh yeah, that's just a flashlight or what, you know. It almost looks like a firework or something. You know, this was like 2 months ago, back in like May. So I don't know. Check this out. Pretty crazy. Like it does not. I don't know what that would be. It would have a. I see the one little green light moving. I've had lightning bugs do that on my cameras. It looks like a little fluorescent green light that moves a little bit like that. A little string. That's usually something moving. But all those other lights are coming straight in, like from a really bright light source. So, I don't know. If you think somebody was out there shining their camera at my trail cam, let me know. That's all I can guess it is. I don't know what all the weird little lights are like that. You know, I'm gonna have to go out and go with my trail cams, shine my flashlight at it and stuff, and see what it does. So anyway, I thought that was unusual. Pretty wild. And I think it's about time. It's definitely that time.
I could have used a little more cowbell.
Love the cowbell. I got my cowbell right here. So we got our device. We call it the Paramoo. Paranormal Paramoo. It's got cowbells. So we got cowbell, and you got to have more cowbells. So we've got 2 cowbells. Cowbell and more cowbell. Shout out to Christopher Walken in the famous Saturday Night Live skit. We love it. If that cowbell ever goes off, Amber Girl already told me, she goes, I'm running to the truck if anything ever sets that cowbell. And the closest we've ever had, I don't know if you can see the striker there, the little thing that dangles around. We've had that move slight, but never had anything with enough energy to actually make it ding. So we're hoping these days we're just going to keep taking it out there, see if anything sets it off. Sticking with our cryptid theme, I'm calling this the peeking Bigfoot. He's peeking at you.
Okay, this video is going absolutely viral because it's confirmed legit. And this Bigfoot footage here, you can see so much detail on it. You can see the nose, you can see the eyes. This is crazy. This is probably, I mean, other than the Patterson Gimlin film, this is the best video I've seen of a Bigfoot. Like, look at the detail, look at the eyes and nose, the hair on it.
Well, I don't know if I consider it as good as Patterson Gimlin film, but I don't know. It looks like it could have been a monkey, you know, chimpanzee poking up its head, or just some guy that's been out in the woods too long, man. He used to come in and get a sandwich. Here we got the mama Bigfoot. I think if she's got a baby Bigfoot with her.
I keep telling everyone that they are real. I mean, how can you deny this footage? I mean, this footage is extraordinary. Like, look at the quality of that.
That baby Bigfoot, he was hanging on there pretty good. I'm not sure if that's AI. Shout out to Alien Impact for sharing that video with us. This one here looks like it could just be a guy in a suit out there fishing. I'm not sure what I'm thinking about this. Here we go. Shout out to Philip Giamaccanio, if I'm saying that correctly. That was an interesting video. I like the music. Not really sure if that's a Sasquatch. It wasn't blurry. It wasn't shaky. And it's really hard to catch a fish with your hands. I've seen some guys try it. I've watched some videos. I'm not talking about grabbing a catfish out of a hole. I'm talking about like a little trout or something. I wasn't even sure that was a fish. So, shout out to those guys. Pretty interesting video. I'm not so sure that's not a person in a suit because the proportions to me look more human than anything. We're going to talk about Bigfoot and the hair samples. Come on.
They hired you to go check to see if Bigfoot was real?
Flip the whole bill. They said, you can do it at your own pace, own will, we'll pay for everything. I said, not interested. They came back to me like 4 or 5 times. Finally, at the end of a year, my wife is divorcing me. I now have only 50% custody. I have 50% of my life open to do whatever I want. They came at me again. I said, okay, I'm going to shorten it down to from what took 5 years to 5 minutes. Tennessee, Great Smoky Mountain National Park. There was a man there named Scott Carpenter. Scott, rest his soul, has since died, but he took me into an area in the park. And he said, Dave, this is the part where I've had all kinds of evidence.
What kind of evidence?
Footprints, hair.
Hair?
Hair.
So has he ever had the hair analyzed?
So we start talking about it. How can we get a good sample of hair? So I said, with bear, they take bear samples and DNA samples from bear all the time. Let's try this. Let's take some packaging tape, wrap it inside out on the outside of a tree. Put something at the fork of the tree, some kind of food, whatever. Honey, something. If they lean up against the tree, it's going to pull the hair out, which we need the follicle for the DNA. Let's see if that works. She says, brilliant. We did it. It worked. In that area, we had tracks. Now, just so you know and everyone else knows, there's hair and fiber experts in the world, and they testify in Superior Court all the time. Like out in the lobby, you have all these different kinds of animals. If we took a hair from one animal and gave it to a hair and fiber expert, he could tell you within 2 minutes what animal that came from, because every hair looks different. So we took those hairs, went to a hair and fiber expert, and they said, well, where'd you get that? And I go, what do you mean? We've never seen that hair before. It's not classified. It doesn't exist. Okay, so that means we're onto something. So then I took...
Does it have follicle? Can they do a DNA on it, or is it just hair?
They did.
Okay.
It did. So I called I was living in California at the time. I called the University of California, Davis, the biggest animal lab in the world. And they said, what do you got? And I explained it. They said, Bigfoot, we're not touching it. We don't want anything to do with it. I went to University of Texas, UC Davis. I went to like 6 or 7. No one would touch it. But then I found a woman that testified in the courts here in Texas as a DNA expert. I call her up. Her name's Melba Ketchum. Dr. Ketchum, I have this sample here. Would you be willing to do DNA analysis on it? Absolutely. It's going to cost you so many thousands of dollars. I go, no problem. We've got somebody who's going to pay. So she goes, okay, let's do one better. Dave, send me the sample. Let me look at it first. I'm going to give it to my hair and fiber expert. They look at it. The hair and fiber expert says, it's nothing we've ever seen, so that's good. So she goes, okay, here's what we're going to do. Can you get any more samples? I said, I have an idea. Let me try.
So it'd be nice to find out what happened with that hair sample test, the DNA, the Bigfoot. So, all you cryptid guys out there, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start doing, putting some double-sided tape, or not, some packing tape, whatever, on the outside of the trees. Put some stuff in a tree, an apple maybe, or, something that might entice the Sasquatch. Maybe a piece of my fried catfish or something might bring them in. We're going to do some more cryptid hunts this year, but we're going to do completely different. We're not going to do anything that's been traditionally done that I know of. So we got some different techniques and different tactics, different we got some homemade stuff we're gonna put out there. I like making my own homemade devices, so we're gonna try that this year. But anyway, shout out to everybody out there that's dealing with the floods. We're rolling into 4th of July, 250th anniversary of the United States. Shout out to all our soldiers, everybody that's fought to make us free so we can do these interesting podcasts, be out there running around hunting ghosts and Bigfoots, looking for UFOs and stuff. Give us the right to do that. So I believe they call it the semi-sesquicentennial. And all the coins that are minted this year will have 2 dates, 1776 and 2026. 2 years, I'm sorry. And they are bringing back the penny for the proof set. So if you want a penny this year, you got to get the proof set. Otherwise, you can't get a penny. They're not making any circulated pennies out there, only the proof set. So if you guys are into collecting coins, this is going to be a historic year, 250 years of our country. So proud of that. This should be a really awesome 4th of July this year. Means a lot. We've been around 250 years. Hope to be around another 250. But I think that's about all I got for this week. So y'all have a safe 4th of July. Try to stay cool out there if you're out doing outdoor stuff this week. And appreciate everybody tuning in this week. So you have a good one. Come on.